Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Authentic Amigas. My name is Valerie.
And I'm Florencia. Thank you so much for tuning in to another week's episode of Authentic Amigas Podcast with Florencia and Valerie, us two. We are happy to be talking to y'all today. It's so funny because even though we've been having an episode every week, Val and I were feeling like we haven't really caught up with y'all in a while. Like we haven't talked just casually, about our lives and how we're doing and what we have going on. So that's how we wanted to start out today's episode. We also have a topic planned. We're going to be talking about love languages. So stay tuned. We're going to get into that. We're going to open up a little bit about the love languages quiz and what it means to us and all of that. But first, how are you doing?
I am good. Today, for the first time in a year, went to the gym. So I know, so it's crazy. I mean, I was really scared at first because, when you don't do something for a really long time, it's like the first time all over again. So with the gym, not only is there the COVID fear, but there's also the slight intimidation of like, oh my goodness, like, do I belong here? Like all those like thoughts that can possibly linger into your head when you're not like a quote unquote gym rat or whatever. But I went and it was so good. It was still outdoors. Everything was pretty organized, well organized, pretty spaced out. Nobody was without their masks. I never saw anybody with like half their masks on, which was pretty great.
No chin diapers.
None of that. Just, sanitize everything before and after. No drinking water, obviously, because I was just too scared to take my mask off for like even a quick second. But it felt so good to be back. And it honestly, with the gym, it's one of those things where it's not even about my physical health as much as my mental health. So already it's crazy because I've only been one day, right? And there's obviously no improvements in my body yet. It's been literally less than 24 hours. But already I just feel so much just happier and excited for.
Yeah. I'm just motivated, I bet.
Yeah, for sure. I got home and I was like, we're gonna do some cleansing, some detox. We're gonna reset because my body really needs it after a whole entire year being in a pandemic and lack of exercise and good diet. So I'm feeling great. How are you feeling? Tell us how you're feeling.
Oh, well, that's awesome. First of all, that you got back to the gym. I feel like that's exactly what I need right now. Because exactly what you're describing is what I feel like I really am craving in my life at this moment. Not that anything's going bad. I have nothing to complain about. 2020 and the beginning of 2021 have humbled us like no other, especially me. I'm speaking for myself. So I feel like that's probably the energy boost that I need. I'm healthy, my family's healthy, thank God, like we're all good, but I feel like I could use that extra boost and that extra like change in routine, or like that extra something to push me or to, like you said, it's about mental health more than physical health for me as well. So yeah, but I'm doing well. Just same work during the week. On the weekends, I work with my dad. I've mentioned, I think maybe a few times on the podcast already. I guess I'll officially announce for the podcast something that you already know about. I'm going to be starting grad school in the fall.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really exciting. It was on my vision board. I think I shared with y'all. During our New Year's special, making our 2021 vision boards. So I'm really happy. I got into my top choice program, so that's been my focus.
Did. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can we tell them about how you didn't call me, you texted me, you screenshotted me a picture of your acceptance, and you guys, tell me why I call her and I'm the one bawling on the phone, like sobbing on the phone to her, and she's like, best friend's like, it's okay, it's gonna be like, it's okay, like, and I was like, oh my God, I was freaking out. I mean, I'm still freaking out and I'm just beyond proud of you.
Yeah, thanks, best friend. Yeah, it was one of my like big goals for 2021. I mean, I have several goals, but so far I feel like we'll have to do a vision board check-in segment in the first quarter of 2021, but so far I've accomplished a few of the things. One of the things was getting into grad school and starting grad school, so hopefully I'll be doing that soon. But yeah, pretty good.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty good. I think I'm like I said though, I'm craving like craving getting to do things like go to the gym again. I got my first vaccine already, so I'm waiting. I'm going to get the second one this month. And after that, I'll be joining you in the gym, hopefully. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I got my first dose. It's gonna be almost 3 weeks now. But because I did get COVID not too long ago, I'm still within the 3 month mark. Technically, right now they're saying that if you got COVID and you're still within the nine, no, I think it's the 8 month period, your first dose of your vaccine. If you get, I'm only speaking on the Moderna, by the way, counts as your second dose. I'm still gonna get the second because it's still recommended to get the second. It won't do any harm for you at all. They recommend it, but technically, they said it's like the second dosage.
Like
So
as far as immunity goes, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So technically, I'm in the clear now. So it's exciting. I can't believe
It's been
it.
a long time coming.
A year, a whole year. Literally today is officially 1 year since our lockdown, right? Our announced shutdown or
Yeah, by the time that our episode goes up, it will have been over a year of when our lockdown was announced in California, at least.
crazy. But oh, you
Yeah.
know what, you guys? I mean, maybe sooner than later, we will actually be together
Oh
recording the
my God,
podcast.
again. If y'all remember the first episodes that we did, we were in person together. I mean, we never had a visual component, so maybe y'all wouldn't know that. But
Mhm.
in the beginning, we actually would, yeah, you're right. We
Mhm.
would get together in what was Butterfly Fingers headquarters is now Valerie Pamela headquarters. Still the birthplace of Butterfly Fingers though. And we would get together and we had a little setup.
Mhm.
So I guess we're gonna have the opportunity to do that again, hopefully in a few weeks.
Yeah, and have a guest over even. Maybe we can figure out a way to have like guests over later on in the year. We'll figure it out. It's all gonna be with time, but
With time
obviously,
and safety and everything.
yes, and the right precautions and everything. But
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are right now. We hope that you guys are doing well too. Um, yeah. So let's get into it, best friend. What we're talking about? Love.
Yeah.
Love, 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 love.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about love languages today. Before we get fully into the topic, I want to remind y'all, if you are listening to us on YouTube or watching us rather, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Authentic Amigas. If you're listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcasts, make sure to give us a follow. We really appreciate your guys' follows and your ratings on the Apple Podcast app. We
Mhm.
read those all the time, and we really appreciate everybody who's taken the time to do those things. Subscribe, follow us, and leave us a rating. And we're also on Instagram and Twitter at Authentic Amigas. So make sure to check us out there.
And
And
TikTok, but we have one TikTok up. But we're everywhere at Authentic Amigas. I
we
mean,
are, we
everywhere.
are, yeah. So make sure you find us on all those platforms, y'all. And, keep up with us there whenever you're not listening to an episode. So that being said, like today we're talking about love. We're talking about love languages and perceived love.
Love. We love love.
Yeah, and I'm like Val loves love.
No,
I'm just kidding. We both love love.
we
But you
do
know
love
what?
love.
I didn't know anybody who was so like, oh my God, I love love until I met you. So I feel like that's doesn't it I think everybody loves being in love, but yeah, you love love, like all of it.
I love love. I think love is so cute. Love, it just butterflies. Ooh, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the different love languages because there are actually, believe it or not, different ways you can show and express love and feel love and receive love. And we're going to talk about those.
Yeah. So all of this is based off of the five love languages like quiz or model that's pretty popular. I think like almost anybody's familiar with it. In case you haven't heard of it, it's basically just like a strategy for like understanding, like Val said, the way that you give love, receive love, understand like love, like what things can like somebody else, maybe a partner or a friend or anybody in your life do or say or anything like that to make you feel loved and vice versa. So kind of broken down into five love languages.
Mhm.
So those are, do you want to list them off?
Yeah, so we have 5 different ways. Well, I mean this like program. I don't know. What do we
it's like a
call it?
model or like I don't know, a strategy.
Yeah, a model. So this model claims that there are 5 ways you can receive and show love. And those 5 different ways are physical touch, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, and gift receiving. So, with this specific quiz that this website provides, it will, once you take it and you fill out or you answer the questions and you do all of that, it will give you your like love languages in the order that you would prefer to receive love, right?
Yeah, it kind of breaks it down like in a pie chart, like
Hmm.
which one resonates most with you, and it kind of assigns you like a percentage for each one. So that way, like you can kind of rank like what's most important to me and what speaks to me most clearly, and then all the way down to what doesn't resonate with me as much. Not that it's not an important aspect of like any relationship, like whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, like not that it's not an important aspect, but it'll also rate you all the way down to the bottom for
Hmm.
what's like least crucial for you or least essential for you
Hmm.
in a way, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
That makes perfect sense. So, best friend and I took the time to take the quiz again. We both have taken it a handful of times, actually, but we took it right before this podcast. And we both, before the podcast, agreed we wouldn't tell each other our results because we wanted to come on here and talk about it with you guys and share with you guys our love languages. And before we tell you guys, we would love for you guys to take a second and guess what our love languages would be. If you listen to our podcast, I feel like you guys know us a little bit by now. If not very much, like a lot, know us a lot because we just come here and pour our hearts out. So, if you guys can try and guess what love language Flo has at her top, I'm gonna guess, Flo, that your top love language, I'm just gonna guess, is acts of service. I'm gonna guess it's acts of service. I think that's your top. Eh,
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think is my top?
I think, okay, so I think that your top is, I kind of have two guesses. I think that yours is either going to be acts of service or gifts.
Okay. Okay.
Am
Period.
I wrong? Oh my God. The pressure to respond right.
No,
I'm like,
I'm
don't drag me if I messed it up.
no. It's completely fine. I'm like, you may or may not be right. So we're gonna go into it. We're gonna share these with you guys. Please take a second to also take the love language quiz while you're listening to this podcast. You can take it on your phone. The site is called.
We'll drop the link in all of the bios of our all of the descriptions of our posts. We'll drop the link in there. And we'll
Yeah.
also post a link on Instagram somewhere too, so y'all can see it.
Yeah, for sure. Or yeah, type in love language quiz on Google and it'll be the
always be
first
the first
thing.
one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So take a second to take that. And if you've taken it in the past, take it again because honestly, it'll probably be different.
Yeah,
Especially like,
so ours have changed. Mine
mhm.
has been different. I remember at least 3 times that I've taken it in maybe in the last like 4 years or so, and it's been different every time.
Period.
Not vastly different, but it's been different every time.
Yeah, some switch. Okay, best friend, tell us your 5 love languages in order.
Okay, so from most important to least important, my first one is, and again, I'll get into how I feel about these results right now. Y'all, I'm just gonna read you what the quiz said, okay?
I'm like, just tell me if I'm wrong.
No, so my first one was quality time, and then gifts and acts of service, and then words of affirmation, and then physical touch is last.
Quality time is your first?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about how I feel about my results because, like I said, I've gotten results different like every single time. I was shook that it said that quality time is first because that's never been my top. My top has been acts of service and gifts always. And my last one has always been physical touch. So that makes sense to me. But quality time was usually always like third place for me. So I'm shook that it's the first one. I'm like, what am I lacking right now?
No, I'm really shook right now because You know what? And I think it's really important you guys take this quiz again for this reason because we have been in a pandemic, right? We haven't really been social with anybody for an entire year. I mean, social, like physically social, I guess, like in person. We haven't socialized in person. Haven't gone to outings. So the love language result might be really different for you right now because we've been lacking so much,
Yeah.
um, just so much in person moments or whatever time.
Right. I
Um,
think also your experiences, like your current experiences or your recent experiences, are going to influence your quiz.
yeah.
Because if you've ever had an experience where maybe you had a partner who, like your relationship was like really lacking in one area, or if you had an experience where you realized like something is important to you and you never thought it was, I feel
Yeah,
like that will influence your answers a lot. Um,
yeah,
just my opinion.
yeah. I know, I agree for sure. Wow, I'm really shook. Because best friend usually the type of person that says I don't like she doesn't miss people,
I
which
don't. That's what I'm saying. You know what? Maybe that's just like my hard, like
mm,
what I try to project, you know?
mhm,
I
mhm.
don't I don't I don't consider myself to be the type of person that misses people. I always thought like acts of service was my top one because I really appreciate like I'm a busy person, you know, like do something for me.
Or
But yeah, that's that's what the quiz said. I don't want to say the quiz does not lie, but the quiz does not lie.
period. Wow, I'm shook. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna share with you my five are
Yeah.
in order. So my
Okay.
first one is acts of service, which best
Mhm.
friend gets right. Oh,
Sorry, hold
best
on, my lighting fell.
no, it's okay. I'm like
We're
our
having some technical
I'm
difficulties.
like our studios are just
Yeah. My bad, my bad. Sorry, go
oh
ahead.
no.
Your first one is
Oh
acts of service.
yeah, first one is acts of service, which you were right in. My second one is quality time, which that used to be, I think, my third or fourth. Like not too long ago. I don't know if I don't know why that changed, but acts of service and quality time are actually pretty close to being tied. Like they're off by
Hmm.
2%. So there's that. And then, so acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts is my third, words of affirmation is my fourth, and physical touch is my last. Physical touch has always been my last. It's never, ever, ever not been my last. So,
Yeah, so it's really funny right now that I'm listing your results kind of like next to mine, and I
mhm.
noticed that our last place is both words and then very last is physical touch. And I feel like those are always my last, and you just said as well that those have always been your last, words of affirmation and physical touch.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's kind of funny that those things stay the same no matter what. The top three kind of interchange, but the last
Yeah,
ones are always last.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't think physical touch will ever be a
Ever
runner
speak to
up.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm like,
know.
don't
I'm the
touch me.
same.
I'm like, but now I think this brings us to our next point of how do you okay, let's say Flo and I had a very, very different results, right? She's my best friend. I love her to death. And let's say our results, like her top one was physical touch, and that would be my bottom. Is there a way for us to still show love to one another? And how would we do that? And is it possible? Do you think it's possible to carry on a
Um,
relationship with somebody like that, whether it's romantic or friendship, whatever?
Friendship, yeah. So I mean, so I guess like speaking from experience, right? My best friend Rudy, um, I noticed like over time that we became like closer friends. He is somebody who expresses like physical touch a lot, like with his friendships, in his friendships. Like he's the type of person that like he'll be talking to you or like to comfort you or something, like he'll
Mhm.
like hold your hand or just like put an arm on you, or hugs are big, too, like things like that. And physical touch has always been my last one, but in specifically, and this doesn't extend to my other friendships, only to my friendship with him, like I've gotten very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like I don't think it's impossible. Like if your love languages are opposite of somebody's, like obviously like sometimes you're just not compatible with people and you're just not compatible. Like, but
Mm.
I think that if you don't have matching results with somebody, I don't think it's like a death sentence on the relationship. I think that if you're adaptable and if you're open, like both people, I think you can still have a very successful friendship or relationship with whoever it is.
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say too, is I was gonna use the word adaptable. I think it's all about adapting, or first of all, wanting to adapt and being willing
Right.
to, and having to make that decision of like, okay, do I want to figure out how to love this person the way that they are expressing to me that they receive love the best, or do I just want to say screw it and just stick to like how I like to show and receive love? So, you know, you have to make that decision from the beginning. If you're not willing to kind of adapt, it's okay. And I think that's when the issues come. But if you acknowledge that their love language is different than yours, and feel like you want to show them love in that way, I think it's totally possible. Because I have the same thing with one of my best friends. Like, I feel like her love language is definitely physical touch. And like I said, mine is not. I do not feel love when somebody's like trying to hold, I don't know, my pinky. I don't know. And so,
You're like, I don't know, don't make no sense.
yeah. Right, and for her, I know that's different, so I'll always try and show some kind of love in that way, like, I'll always hug her, and I'll always, like, play with her hair because I know that's, like, what makes her feel loved, or she'll tell me, like, rub my back, and I'm like, "Okay, girl." Um,
Yeah, but you're right. You have to decide that the relationship is meaningful already. That has to be like that has to be a no-brainer. Like that part of the deal has to be done. Like this relationship is important to me. This person is meaningful to me. They're valuable in my life. And then comes the adaptability.
Oh, 100%. Because even if we now move, because we kind of made the example with a friendship, but even if you go into a relationship, it's really, really important, I think, to know your significant other's love language. Um, I will even argue that it's probably the most important person to know their love language, or like your significant other. ¿Cómo se dice? I'm like, I don't know how to say this properly, but basically, like, es la más importante. Like, that's like the most important one you have to know, in my opinion, because that's the person that you're with, like on a whole other level, like romantically, on physically, mentally, emotionally, like on a whole other level. Um, so when you're in a relationship and you guys have different love languages, how do you make that work, best friend? How do you do that?
I
I'm like,
see
because
you
I
turn
don't
the
know.
question to me. I see you turn the question to me. First of all, I'm like, don't take no relationship advice from me. But I always tell that to people. I'm like, don't take relationship advice from me. I don't
Disclaimer,
know.
disclaimer, do
Yeah,
not
proceed at your
ever
own
listen
risk.
to an Authentic Amigas podcast and think like I'm gonna utilize this advice in my relationship, because we are not responsible. We are not liable.
Proceed at your own risk,
Mhm.
honestly, because
A-
we just run our mouths.
any damage that may be caused with our big mouths, we are not liable.
I'm very
Um,
sorry.
yeah,
You're on your
period.
own.
No, we're just kidding. We're just kidding. But how, is it possible to work out with somebody that has a different love language than you in a romantic relationship?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, okay, so like I said earlier, with in the example of like friendship, um, I do think that you can make it work. Like you can still have a very fulfilling relationship. Um, but I do think that it's extra work in the relationship that again you have to be committed like to putting in. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it can be done. I think it can be done, but it takes effort. And yeah, so I mean, I think you can definitely make it work, but it's something that you have to be like constantly communicating, and and yeah, both parties have to be committed. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody involved has to be very committed to understanding this and to having this conversation, and to reminding one another like if it's necessary. And that's the part that can be tiring, is the persistence in that, I think.
Mhm.
I don't think not having the same love languages is that big of a deal. I think it's the persistence in making that work that can be, people get tired, but yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. And if there's anybody out there who is talking to somebody or like wants to start dating again, because again, the pandemic, she's coming to an end, and I know a lot of us
Slowly
are
but surely.
yeah, and I know a lot of us are going to start talking to people and dating and getting into things. I feel like the love language quiz is the perfect first date thing to do because it's super fun. You guys can do it together. It's not that serious, but it's also a really great way of getting to know one another a little bit more. It's fun, it's interactive, so I highly recommend, not to be shy at all and ask
Yeah.
the person if first I would ask like, have you taken the five love language quiz before? And if they say yes, ask them what that is. Because if they say yes, it's because they're already comfortable with speaking about it, right? Because they wouldn't have even taken it in the first place. So that's
Mhm.
a great conversation, I feel, is getting to know one another's love languages. And if they say no, ask them if they're willing to take a quiz with you, and you
Yeah,
can.
like let's do it together.
And it's super fun, super cute, definitely a moment, and you'll get to know them a little bit better as well.
Yeah, just like we talk about like astrology, and compatibility, like, oh, like he's a Scorpio or he a Taurus or whatever. Like just
Mm,
like we talk about like compatibility in astrology, I think like, and it's just for fun, like I think talking about love languages can be something like a fun activity, and
mhm,
it builds like I don't want to say like intimacy, but it builds like getting to know one another in a relationship.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, definitely could be fun. Even with your
Yeah.
family, I think it's a very fun thing to do.
Mhm.
I took, well, like I said, I've taken the quiz several times. One time I took it with my mom, and I feel like to help me understand her in a different way a little bit. I think her top, if I remember correctly, her top one was quality time. And something that I have to remind myself like really often, because I mean now it popped up as my first one, but it's never been my first one in the past. um and so it's something that I remind myself of often, whenever like she's going to the store or something, like if I have the time that day, like whereas maybe like I would have stayed and done something for myself at home, I'll be like, oh, like let me go with you.
Mhm.
And then same thing with one of my sisters. Her top one is physical touch, and that's my bottom one. So I know like sometimes if she like had like a hard day, or like she's going through something, like I know that. And so it's like a tool, that I can pull out and remind myself of like how to make somebody feel loved.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is the reason why we want to know this about one another is so that you know how to love the person the way that they receive love. It's not because we all love so differently and we all receive love so differently. So there's no point in me if best friend says her bottom one is physical touch and I see that she's in need of maybe some kind of love, maybe a bad day, maybe a bad hour, and I go and hug her. Like what is that going to do to her? Probably not much. Maybe it'll do something, right? But if she's telling me her top love language is quality time, instead of maybe like a kiss on the cheek and a cute little hug moment, I can be like, hey, best friend, let's go shopping. Drop what you're doing. I'm going to pick you up right now and we are going to go on a hike. We're going to go shopping. We're going to go get breakfast. We're going to do something together. And I think that that's the reason why you want to know these things about the people you love.
Yeah, and even about yourself. I saw a TikTok one time where this girl was like, she posted like a series of videos on her TikTok,
Mm,
and it was like showing my like practicing the five love languages with myself.
mm-hmm,
So one day, like this is the only one that I saw, but on one day she was like, okay, today the love language that I'm speaking to myself is quality time. So like got myself ready. I took the time to like, you know, do whatever I wanted to get ready in the morning. And then I took myself to like Trader Joe's and I took my time looking through everything. I bought myself flowers. I took myself like on a picnic and whatever. So speaking that love language to yourself is very important too. So
mm-hmm.
we always like, we're talking about it as a tool, as like a way of relating to others and maturing your relationship with others, but it's also a way of maturing your relationship with yourself, and it's good knowledge to have about yourself.
Period. Yeah.
Yeah, and another, so funny because I get so many ideas of things to talk about through TikToks. Another TikTok that I saw, it was something about like she asked something along the lines of like, what's your most self-sabotaging or like destructive habit, like self-destructive habit. And then the follow-up question was, what top way of showing someone you love them, or like what's your top love language? And this one hit me so hard because I answered it like in real time with her. And so the first question, she was like, okay, what's your most self-destructive habit? And I said, spending money. And then she said, what's your top way of like being loved, or like what's your top, one of your top love languages? One of my top is gift giving and receiving. So I was like, I had like a little revelation where I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it doesn't have to be that deep.
But it definitely can for sure be that deep. And I also think part back to what you're saying about like showing yourself the five love or your love languages. I totally agree. I think it's really important for your self-love journey as well to know what your love languages are, because sometimes we don't even know how to love ourselves. It really is a journey, like we keep saying, like the self-love journey is a whole journey and it never stops. So I definitely think it's important to know how to love on yourself. And I found recently that gift receiving, not so much gift giving right now. No, gift giving too. Gifts period is like one of my top love languages. I mean, it's number
Yeah.
3, but it's pretty, they're all like acts of service, quality
Right. My
time.
top 3 were all in the 20%.
Yeah, exactly. Todos están casi allí juntos.
Yeah.
So I realized like I love gifts. I love treating myself. And because of that, like I'm no longer going to be, because before I used to be like, no, like I don't deserve that, or like I didn't do
I
anything
don't
to.
need it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, if I know that's how I truly show love towards myself sometimes, like why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think with mine, gifts is also my number 3, but I've realized probably the pandemic has also forced me in this way a little bit because we're away from each other. And whereas maybe, when one of my good friends or family members, like when it was their birthday or when like they accomplished something and I'm proud of them and I want to congratulate them, whereas maybe I would have gone with
Mm,
something small and like spent time with them or
mm,
gone to dinner or done something along those lines. The
mm,
pandemic has forced us to kind of do things in a different way. Like
mhm.
now I have to compromise, and maybe like a card and a gift left on their doorstep is the only thing that I can do to show somebody that I appreciate them. So I think the pandemic has also forced us like to adapt
Mhm.
um in a certain way. But yeah, no, definitely I've learned in the past year that gift giving and receiving is something really huge for me, and I struggle with it sometimes, but I love buying people things, like little things,
Yeah,
like oh,
yeah.
I was at the store and like, oh, just today I went to Home Depot because we're fixing some things and painting some things around my house
Mhm.
with my tío. And so we were at the store and then we walk in and I saw flowers and it was like, oh, like my mom loves to have flowers like in her office area. So now like anytime that I go somewhere, like if I have it in me that day, I'm like, I have $10 to spare. I'm just gonna get my mom some flowers. I
Aw.
love gift giving and stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah, you guys, this is our episode on love languages. Please take the time to do this for yourself. Do it with your friends, your family, like Flo said before, in your relationships. It's very much so a useful tool that you can even take to the workplace one day if you're a manager or a leader, or just a fellow coworker that wants to express love. I think going out of this pandemic, we all need a little extra love. Everybody needs a little extra love. So take the time to figure out yours and figure out others as well. We appreciate you guys being here for episode 20. We can't believe it.
Crazy.
I
Two
know.
zero.
2-0. So if you haven't followed us yet, which I'm sure you guys are following us by now, please follow us. If not, though, follow us at Authentic Amigas everywhere, literally Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And where can they listen to this episode or more episodes, best friend?
Sure. Find us all of our episodes streaming on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. If you have the opportunity, we really encourage you to check us out on YouTube. We have a visual component up. You can watch our beautiful faces on the YouTube screen. Make sure to check us out there and subscribe. You can find me at Florencia Galvan everywhere as well for my personal pages. And we also have stickers for sale. We we still have them. I was gonna bring up how we raised money for the Las Chicas del Barrio. So all of our sticker proceeds went for their Women's Day in Skid Row. But now we still have our stickers available. So if y'all are interested in picking one up of your own, super cute, one of a kind design, send us a DM on Instagram.
Period. We are almost at 300 followers on Instagram. So if your mommy isn't following us, grab her phone, follow Authentic Amigas. Yeah, steal like take your little sister's phone, follow us on Authentic Amigas, and we'll get to 300 together. We're so appreciative of you guys being here and being in this safe space with us. We love you. We hope you're having a great day, and we will see them on the next one. Right, Post Red?
Yeah, in a week.
Ooh.
We have another guest planned, so I hope y'all will stay tuned and see who that is.
Bye, guys.